The princess and the dragon's friend. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a beautiful and kind princess named Elara. Her father, King Alden, was a wise ruler, but his kingdom faced a terrible threat. A dragon, fierce and fiery, had made its home in the mountains, and every year it demanded tribute from the kingdom: gold, food, and livestock. If the tribute was not delivered, the dragon would descend from the mountains and burn the crops, leaving the people in despair. One year, after the kingdom's harvest was ruined by the dragon's fiery wrath, King Alden called for a brave hero to face the beast. Many knights and warriors came, each eager to prove their courage, but none returned. Fear gripped the land, and the people whispered of doom. Princess Elara, known for her intelligence and compassion, decided that she would end the reign of terror herself. Disguising herself as a common traveler, she set out for the mountains, determined to confront the dragon and bring peace to her people. As she journeyed through the forest and up the steep slopes of the mountain, Elara was surprised to hear a soft, comforting voice coming from behind a large tree. "Lost, are you?" asked the voice. Elara turned and saw not a man or a warrior, but a large, talking squirrel sitting on a rock. His fur was silvery gray, and his eyes sparkled with wisdom. "Who are you?" asked Elara, her hand resting on the hilt of her sword. "I am Crispin, the mountain's oldest resident. I've lived here for longer than that dragon you seek," the squirrel replied with a proud flick of his tail. "I know the dragon well, but more importantly, I know a way to get past him without the fire and bloodshed you expect." Intrigued and somewhat amused, Elara lowered her sword. "And why would a squirrel help me? Aren't you afraid of the dragon?" Crispin shook his head. "Fear is for those who don't understand. I am not afraid of the dragon. I understand him." Elara, skeptical but curious, agreed to follow Crispin. They journeyed together deeper into the mountain, and as they approached the dragon's lair, Crispin led Elara into a narrow, hidden path that no human had ever taken. The air was thick with the smell of smoke, and the ground rumbled slightly with the dragon's movements. At the entrance of the lair, Crispin stopped and turned to Elara. "You must speak with him. The dragon is not evil, but he is lonely. He has been misunderstood for centuries." Elara was hesitant, but with no other choice, she entered the lair. There, in the dim light of the cave, she saw the dragon, a massive creature with gleaming scales and eyes like molten gold. He lay curled up, clearly resting, but his eyes flickered open as she approached.
"Perhaps," Elara said, "but I am not like most humans. I've heard stories about you, about how you demand tribute. But I also heard something else, the truth that you are alone up here, and that no one has ever tried to speak to you as a friend." The dragon's eyes softened, and he let out a low, thoughtful growl. "You are different, princess. I have watched your kingdom from afar, but you do not know what it is to be alone. No one dares come close, and when I speak, they flee in terror. What do you know of loneliness?" Elara stepped closer, her voice gentle. "I know what it is to carry the weight of the kingdom on my shoulders, to live surrounded by people but feel no one truly understands me. We may not be so different, you and I." The dragon's gaze deepened, and a long silence passed between them. Finally, he spoke again, his voice quiet. "Perhaps I have been wrong." Elara smiled softly. "It's not too late to change. Who dares enter my domain?" The dragon rumbled, his voice deep and booming. "I am Princess Elara," she said, standing tall despite her nerves. "I've come not to fight, but to understand." The dragon looked at her in surprise. "Understand? Humans do not seek understanding, they seek to slay me." With that, she extended her hand, not as an enemy, but as a friend. The dragon hesitated, then reached out with one massive claw, carefully brushing her fingers. It was a gesture of trust. The next day, Elara returned to her kingdom, but not with the dragon's hoard of treasure. Instead, she brought with her a message of peace. The dragon, it turned out, had been lonely for centuries, hoarding not just gold, but his own pain. He agreed to live away from the kingdom, not demanding tribute anymore, but watching over the land like a silent guardian. As for Crispin, the squirrel, he was named the kingdom's advisor, for it was he who had known the true nature of the dragon all along. He became the wisest, most beloved figure in the land, and Princess Elara, hailed as the peacemaker, ruled with kindness and wisdom for many years to come. And so, the dragon and the princess lived in peace, with an unexpected friend at their side, Crispin the squirrel, who had known all along that sometimes, the most unexpected allies bring the greatest changes. And they all lived happily ever after.